SCFAs producers and butyrate producers are so incredibly important. And that's the area of the colon that we are not feeding well at this time. Now, going back to the targeted extracted type of emulsifiers, there are a few from the past that act almost in a precision manner because they do pass through. And I've talked about those before, like your A-Cell branded item, as they found out. But this is where I look at, food, the whole food science and supplement science area. If we were to tie this in with the microbiome information and cellular metabolism and information, not inflammation, and mechanics that we're finding now, we could create processed foods in a healthful manner, but we have
foods in a healthful manner. That's called a whole bunch of bullshit kilometers and let it sit on a shelf for 6 to 8 months. That's losing, part of whatever food is.
Yeah.
There is some artificial strategies to avoid the influence of nature there. Right? You got to ask yourself, you really have to ask yourself this question. Why does a McDonald's hamburger, and I'm just going to use McDonald's because this is a known thing. You go look it up. This guy bought a quarter pounder. He didn't eat it.
Forever.
Later, it's still there. It's never been moldy. The fries don't mold. Why don't those foods break down? And you want to know why? This is my theory. I don't know anybody else's theory. This is my theory. The microbiome of the air and the environment, whatever that is, has no clue what to do with it. None. No clue.
Agree to an extent.
Why is it not breaking down? It doesn't break down, Blake.
Well, what do you expect it to do without any water?
No, but I can put water on it and it won't break down.
Well, yeah, no, you put water on it, it will break down. It'll get moldy. But the fact is they're dried out. So they're basically shelf stable because it's low moisture.
Well, it's dried out and it's all fat.
But if I dry out an apple, it breaks down. If I dry out a banana peel, it breaks down. If I dry out a piece of wood, it breaks down.
But there's a
because they have water in them.
The natural world, it breaks down.
What about a freeze dried apple? Does that break down?
Because of environmental humidity.
The micro and just down air as well. Like these.
Not if you have it in the original packaging.
The original packaging doesn't actually keep the water out. It's not hermetically sealed.
Having worked with like the food service companies that supply those types of situations and other QSR items, like one of the branded fries or whatever, they developed a coating system a long time ago, and that coating system makes a barrier and also happens to make a crispier exterior fry, which is a desirable texture. I mean, that's an instance in one case. And then the fatty layers, just like in encapsulation science, basically, in some of the foods and some of the processed foods, because of orders back then to extend shelf life, create barriers that prevent act as an antimicrobial or prevent microbes from getting in or mold settling on, but also prevent water activity change in the entire food itself. So if you don't have water activity change, you are removing everything from electrical potential to having,
So can I ask a question then? I'm going to make fries at home. I'm going to use let's use canola because it's contentious. Okay. So I'll use canola oil because it's contentious. I don't have a problem with it, but it's contentious. I'm going to get normal potatoes. I'm going to prepare them. I'm going to cut them. I'm going to have them the size of those fries. I'll leave them with some salt. I'll put some starch on them. I'll deep crispiness, and I'm going to also make my own hamburger. I'm going to buy a Wonder Bread bun. I'm going to get a normal hamburger. I'm going to get lettuce, onion, tomato, mayo, mustard, and whatever. And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to dehydrate those. And then I'm going to leave them on my counter. I guarantee you both of those will break down.
Yes.
Both of those will become moldy because I made them in my house. But the commercial preparation of these things, because of the additives, like you've just described, Judy, don't seem to have a relationship with the biome that exists. They don't break down. And it must be beyond merely being dehydrated.
It is, because the barrier...
That's... agree. You're partially true. I think the addition of things like BHT and sorbates, that is going to slow any kind of microbial, but it is also partially the removal of water.
Sure, but if I remove my own hamburger's water, this is my counterpoint. If I make my own fries, so they're the same, but I just use a limited set of ingredients, let's say 4, oil, French fries, salt, and cornstarch. Okay, I can do it with those. That's it. And then the burger would be a Wonder Bread bun. So that would be everything since sliced bread in there, whatever's in there. I can't remember. Lettuce, tomato, onion, mayo. I'll skip the mayo. Let's just put ketchup, mustard, and relish. Ketchup has what, 4 ingredients? Mustard has 2, maybe 3. And you put relish on there, you can get away with 2 ingredients, right? Like just cucumbers and vinegar, maybe a touch of salt. If I do that, mine is going to break down. Even if I make it into a brick and extract 99.9% of the water, it's still going to break down on my.
There's systems that were designed at one point during, the make food for.
So my point is, this can't be good for our gut.
No.
That's my whole point.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
It creates antimicrobial conditions in the gut.
I agree. It
Give
does
you
create
nutrition.
antimicrobial.
It does not give you nutrition fully, because what is happening is some of it is not digestible. So you are missing nutrition.
Well, not digestible really means the microbiome in your gut has no clue how to analyze it, how to break it down. The microbiome creates enzymes, right? So I'm always microbiome body second. They're doing the primary initial digestion. Digestion to begin to take place. Like we have senses, and the vagal system, of course, is monitoring, and the brain's looking, and all those other things. But again, I'm trying to get at the fact that there has to be some demarcation where we say ultra processed food, or the way that we're designing food, isn't working. Like we need a new paradigm for this. But I agree with you. I think we can do it right. To Blake's point, I think if somehow we can get egg yolk in there as opposed to polysorbate 80, I don't know. I don't know. That's beyond my pay grade in terms of, a food scientist. But if we could do that, maybe that's a better option. I just think there's better options. I'm wondering if shelf stability for 2 years is the right way to go.
So, because microbially, even
although dehydrated meat done traditionally has a 2-year shelf life or more, I think, or else we would never have been able to store anything historically.
Right. Well, okay, let's think about that. We have to go back to fermentation and microbiome and things like that there as well.
Because the criticism of this is the appeal to nature fallacy, is that just because it's natural means it's safe.
Correct.
Let's go back to last time. Remember, we were talking about too how there is that concern, which Dave, you had pointed out. There's papers on this, of using only commercial cultures, which reduces diversity in fermented foods. And when you're talking about these dried meats and things, remember, they were smoked and dried outside. You cannot tell me there was not some sort of fermentation that started as they were smoking and drying when they were wet, because that's a slow process. I've done it. Okay.
I also wonder, maybe smoking isn't so good, but it's a preservation practice. So you have to do it. But I'm wondering, let me just throw this out there. People doing that were steeped in a really, truly organic environment. They had to undergo physical activity in order to get those resources. And they were really existing in the biosphere of nature. There wasn't really an overtly synthetic aspect to it, if I can put it that way, maybe. You know what I'm saying? So the smoke itself was a 1%, but you bring that smoke to a North American gut that's already industrialized and antibiotic and not breastfed and stressed and everything else. And then you put the smoke in there and it's like, whoa, that's too much. I've reached a tipping point.
Well, that's right. If you're overfed, all that extra is getting trapped in your body versus getting metabolized and
I agree with you. I think overfeeding is a major inflammatory event. We know that from the science.
We know that.
It what's the word I'm looking for? It primes a really big inflammatory event, because this if you studied the science. Fat storage itself is under the influence of inflammation.
Yep.
Well, yeah, both upstream and downstream, and so you say, hey, if we're storing too much fat, well, that's clogging things, that's triggering inflammation. But yeah, if you're isocaloric with your energy expenditure, then all that's getting processed and metabolized, removed from the body in an efficient way.
But we are talking about the Western world trap, which is we have stress and plenty of food. Cortisol goes up, increases fat storage, but stress also creates that need to look for something in many people, that creates that overfeeding, overeating, constant snacking. And then we have this industry that, in order to make money, when the consumers wanted more snacks, we flooded the world with handheld portable snacks. Everything became handheld portable. I don't care if it was natural world or not. You go to Expo West, how many handheld portable snacks are on showcase every year? More than half.
You're preaching to the choir, Judy.
And they're better for you, right? Encouraging you to overeat with.
Anything.
And they're all designed to taste so good too, even though they're certified organic and might be preservative free.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm guilty of being one of the ones that did make a lot of those because.
Listen, I'll throw it out there. So, I don't like being in a holier than thou chair because then it makes people assume. So I will be the first to say I eat potato chips. In Canada, there's one organic brand, which I happen to buy. I happen to meet the guy in an event that did it. And so I eat organic potato chips, all dressed organic potato chips, and sea salt organic potato chips. And on the odd time that I feel like it, there's the balloons. I eat the sour cream and onion potato chips from Humble. Okay, so in fat and oil, I'm probably a few too many at a time. I'm going to throw it out there. It's definitely something that I've done. I love potato chips. So I don't like the
I'm
same
a
time.
crunch time guy. They're conventional barbecue, Philly. That's, it's like, yeah, it's easy for us to preach, but
you know what?
Right. And that's the other thing. I don't want to point fingers at all the, companies that are making foods. And, this guy, the organic guy, is trying to do it in good faith. He's trying to do it with the circular economy kind of idea so that we have less crap going on in the farming practices and maybe a little bit more, nature leaning. I don't know. So I like to support that. But at the same time, that's not the best for me. I can be.
We know it's not the best, but you know what? I've always,
in moderation,
coaching people, always told people, look, we're here to experience life. So you have to allow yourself some of these things. I know, I've known athletes, professional level athletes who I handed them, some chips that I was working on and they would down a family-sized bag in front of me. But you know what? They still had less than 10% fat and they could outrun anybody in a 2-city area. And they were the top of whatever athletic condition and level. So our bodies were designed to be flexible and designed to allow certain things. But I think the biggest thing is overdoing on any one thing is what.
Can I jump on a point, Judy? Because I want to actually mention, I want to tie something together. Both of you know this already. I'm just going to throw it out there because I'd like to talk about it. There is a desire to save old microbiomes. So microbiomes from the past, because they're considered better, cleaner, they were in an organic environment. It's the microbiome project, if you can put it like that. But new research suggests that may not be the best thing to do for what you said, because the microbiome is so dynamic and it's adapting to the now. That microbiome is incompetent for our now.
Yep.
So that's just what I want to throw out there, because what you just said about the dynamically evolving sort of nature of the microbiome
is what, I stated before 2007, the shamans in Peru and the traditional culture people in Peru, the Quechua, were talking about that as a fact of life. They said, if we don't have that constant input with nature and that constant cycling, the cyclings that are dictated by the universe and the planetary rotation, not by us, no matter what we do. If we don't do that, we disconnect ourselves from nature to the point where we will no longer be considered something to be protected by the entire ecosystem.
I kind of like that. I like that. That's an interesting way to look at it.
That's why in Urubamba Valley, they actually shut down the one fertilizer plant, because the elders said once the soil gets addicted, the soil will blow away eventually. So they were talking about topsoil erosion in their way from fertilizer, and they sent all the free fertilizer samples back and shut down the plant, a brand new plant, in less than 2 years.
Did you guys catch I'm switching gears, and this might be appropriate for our next one. I just want to throw it out, cut it out if this isn't weaving in. January 2nd, 2026. so 5 days ago, the New York Times put out the article on glyphosate. Did you happen to see that?
No, I didn't read it. I saw
No.
the headline, but I didn't get there.
Yeah, I have a PDF copy. It's a freely available. You can go read it. It's not behind a paywall. At least it wasn't when I read it, but I
I have
made it. What they reported, the journalism is really good. And what they reported was that the journal that put the big anchoring article out in 2000
Mhm.
about glyphosate safety has now had to retract 25 years later that article due to the collusion of the authors and how the authors were financed.
Oh.
They had to um, pull it back. So the journalism here is excellent, and it's on glyphosate. And I believe the publication date, if you're looking for it, is January 2nd, 2026. So what this looks like, are you guys familiar with Kristen Kearns from UCSF, University of California, San Francisco, dentist? And she found the hidden sugar papers at Harvard and the collusion of the tobacco industry and the sugar industry. This looks a lot like what happened there too. So just have a look at this. It's a big story. I am beyond amazed that it didn't make more headlines in the news aggregates like Google News or whatever, wherever you get your news. I'm stunned that it didn't get more looks, but if you read it, it's exceptionally well done journalism. They did a really
I did see it, and I had a couple questions from that. One was um, obviously a retraction of a paper, due to whatever reason is bad. But I was curious if the data in the paper was uh, proven falsified, and then second, was the data from that paper not corroborated by other studies which haven't been
yeah.
questioned as far as legitimacy.
It's a
There's
great
many
question.
studies on glyphosate, and so this is just one study.
It's a foundational study. So a lot of people based their opinions or future research on that study. Governments based their willingness to look at glyphosate positively or negatively on that study. So it's a pivotal study. You know what those are, Blake. I mean, they're the ones that everybody bases on.
That's right. And so you have to repeat somebody else independently has to
to go and do it.
repeat the
These things
methods.
are being done now, and it turns out that glyphosate, at the very least, interrupts the shikimate pathway. So
Yeah,
this
isn't
is
that
the ability of certain microbes to produce their own amino acids, very specifically tyrosine, tryptophan, and tryptophan for sure. I can't remember what the other one is. It's just escaping me right now.
Oh, wow, actually
There's
because
3, and so it interrupts that metabolism in us when there's glyphosate residues. So it interrupts the microbiome in humans, but more importantly, it's interrupting the microbiome of the soil to a degree
right.
that the guild related. It's actually what you said. The soil seems to have lost its ability to retain moisture, have mycorrhizal networks. Tillage breaks those networks. Then the transition zone in the mycelial filaments that are going into the plant roots. So then you can't really see the difference between the plant and the mycelial matrix and the microbiome. That's being degraded. So it does look like it's interrupting the millennia old relationships of soil microbiome. And when I say microbiome, I'm not just talking about bacteria. I'm actually talking about all the living things that bring soil to its living status. But soil itself, man, like when you think about that, 1 teaspoon has more stars in the universe, right? There's a lot going on there. So I just wanted to throw that there if you've seen it. I'm free. I always like to triple question things to see what's taking place. But when a signal in that noise does emerge for harm, I do need to be responsible and think to myself, okay, if that is a linear input in a deeply harmonic system, what might be the consequences for us as a result of that? And then
That's
just
right.
looking at
Well,
some of those perturbations.
the modern world is filled with unintended consequences of technology, and
Every solution creates a new problem, doesn't it?
right. Well, and
Yeah.
the unintended consequence of getting rid of glyphosate is that we introduce other chemicals that are more toxic. Yeah.
Well, I think your question is, how do we feed the world in a way that feels like a local market? Like I actually don't think that that's possible right now. I think individually I'm doing it in my own location with the farm and the cafe, and we're trying to feed people healthy food. But from a world perspective, we're in a transition zone, and it's not going away anytime soon. It's like electric vehicles and fossil fuels. You know, we couldn't go 100% electric that fast. It's just not going to happen. It has its own environmental consequences and rare earth metals and blah 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 blah. So I don't know what the answer is. I just know that making sure I have enough fiber, enough polyphenols, some good short chain fatty acids, making some or getting some, you know, fish and stuff, all that's important to me. And I want to limit my exposure to ultra processed burgers and fries, but I'm not going to suggest that I never, ever, ever eat those things because
Again, we're here to experience things, and I do believe in evolution based on exposure, but we also have to preserve the ecosystem at the same.
well, I think we can do better.
We
You know, I
can.
think all three of us would agree. Like, there are places we can do better.